Well, these allegations were first made about Glynnis Breytenbach by the National Prosecuting Authority when they sought her dismissal in 2012. Of course, she was charged with 15 different disciplinary offences, all of which she was cleared of. And that included this allegation that she had refused to hand over her laptop to the head of integrity management at the NPA at a time in which she was involved in a criminal matter involving two very well-known mining houses. They alleged at the time that she had purposely deleted certain evidence or material from her laptop. They laid charges, Yuveka, against her in 2012, but now, a full 4 years later, we see that case finally resulting in a prosecution. Now, I have asked Luvuyo Mfaku from the National Prosecuting Authority about why exactly it took so long. He said that the fault laid squarely at the door of the police and that, in fact, the investigation took a very long time to complete. This is a bona fide prosecution, then the timing of it being launched is indeed quite profoundly unfortunate, Yuveka. Of course, Glynnis Breytenbach, as the Shadow Minister of Justice for the DA, integrally involved in the DA's attempt to force President Jacob Zuma to suspend Nonqobo Jiba on the basis of several courts, including the Supreme Court of Appeal, not once but twice, making quite profoundly devastating findings against her in terms of her honesty and potential fitness to hold office. We know that those matters, of course, involving Richard Mhluli, the Hawks in KZN, and indeed the spy tapes matter in which Jacob Zuma was himself so integrally involved. Now, Glynnis Breytenbach was at the helm of that case, which was being heard last week, pushing for the president to be forced to suspend Nonqobo Jiba and institute a proper inquiry into her fitness. Now, however, she finds herself in court facing these charges. Of course, the NPA very much denying that there was any kind of political motivation to it charging her 4 years after it made these original allegations in a disciplinary inquiry, and they were, of course, ultimately dropped. I think once they have a greater sense of what exactly this case involves, Yuveka, which we will hope will happen in court this morning, they may look at their options. But given the language that has swirled around this matter, the fact that they believe that this is a politically motivated prosecution, ultimately aimed at undermining her role in this litigation involving Nonqobo Jiba, may have informed that decision. However, of course, the ANC saying that it was hypocritical of the DA when, in fact, every time one of its officials are implicated in wrongdoing, the opposition party calls for the suspension of that particular official. So, of course, this is going to be a bit of a political minefield, this case, particularly in election year, particularly given the profile of the person involved, and particularly given her assertion that, in fact, NDPP Sean Abrams is essentially nothing but a puppet for Nonqobo Jiba and her particular desires.